I'm sure like many, I was very compelled and moved by the story of your new adopted son, and was just curious to know how his transition has been, and how his life is here, or maybe he's back home already.
Thank you, Kim. The question is, how is Louis' transition? I mean, I could go on and on all night. He is great. I think he had no idea the bizarre family that he landed in. When he first arrived, he was wearing these wonderful combat boots that were red, white, and blue striped. He met my father at a cowboy bar that had these strip pictures on the side, and I had to kind of like inch by so Louis wouldn't see them. He called him Grandpa, and my father said, "My name is John. No one calls me Grandpa." And they have become the dearest of friends. My father, who wears cowboy boots that could kill spiders in corners. So there's that. You know, I think he's changed all of us in deep and profound and dramatic ways. I thought I was sort of together. I realized I'm not at all. And I've been turned inside out, upside down, to the side. But that's how we are. How is Louis? His transition has been remarkable and fast and profound. He speaks 6 languages. He hadn't been in school since 4th grade, so he had never read a book. His English skills were oral. And he learned how to speak English by memorizing and translating Martin Luther King's speech, "I Have a Dream." That was the one word he knew, dream. And when he came here and we went to Washington, D.C., I didn't know this until we were walking up to the Lincoln Memorial, and he turned around on this moonlit night. Obama had just been elected as president, and he said, "I know this place," as the Washington Monument shone in that reflecting pool. And I said, "You do?" And he said, "Yes, this is where Dr. King gave his speech." And then he delivered that speech verbatim. I mean, those are the things I still am learning. He didn't know how to cross a road. And all of a sudden, Brooke and I get a call that just said, "Mom, the green man told me to walk, the red man told me to stop, now what do I do?" And you hear these cars all in the middle. You know, I just said, "Louis, put your arms out, don't go anywhere until the green man rises again." And I think my favorite thing was I got a call, and he said, "George Bush has more problems than he knows." And I thought, well, you've got that right. And he says, "Really, there's a war on terror in this country, but in Salt Lake City, it's a war of demons." And I went, "What?" And he said, "I can't go home. There's cobwebs. I went to the coffee shop, and there's a head on the table." And all of a sudden, I realized I had not told him about Halloween. You know, so there are these kinds of things. And the other side is he carries a wisdom as though he were 80. So it's this full range. And just tonight, I got a text from him that he got an A on Dwight Eisenhower's speech, interpretation of his speech on the military, industrial complex. And I thought, this is great. And then he said, "I wonder if President Obama has read his speech." So it's these kinds of conversations that we get to have now. And he's returning back to Rwanda frequently. He just started a cinema in his town. They have no movie theaters. And he said that's where dreams begin. And children, the orphans, the street kids were able to see How the Grinch Stole Christmas in this theater house that he and his family are now working on. Other questions? Yeah.
I think most of us, if we're prompted properly, will remember the event of this Rwanda massacre, 94. A lot of us just forget it because it was way over there. And I think we know, if we think about it, Europe and the Western civilization just kind of did a hands-off, very much like the Belgians just left, because they were told to leave, and they did. And the problem with getting involved with that is sometimes third in a fight gets hurt worse than the one that gets hurt with two in a fight, you know. So it's hard to tell what to do with people that are fighting each other like that. But it wasn't until then that I really understood how different they are from we are in with civilized society we have here. Is that here we have massacres of all kinds, you know, holocausts and things like that. But there, we're here, we drop bombs from on high. You know, we have long-range artillery and high-powered rifles, and we don't really see the person we're killing. Yes, that's just a comment. Do you want to comment? Is that all right?
Sure, and let's
Okay.
just
Okay.
frame it.
Because they take their massacres personally.
And maybe we would do better if we would as well.
Well, they look their people in the eye, and they have a chance of being killed or killed, you see. Whereas we're so distant from it that we don't understand what it is. So they have I think, in a way, it's a more civilized way of fighting each other than we do.
I appreciate your comment. You know, I think these things are so complicated, and I think the one thing that Louis has taught me over and over again is no judgment. And, you know, just how do we find our shared humanity? And for me, it's one person at a time, breaking bread together, one day at a time. And I think it's in that individual stance that we come to touch the collective. And perhaps we can just end with that word, empathy. Thank you so much.